The Knuckles show dropped on this past April 26th, I believe. It was 26th, right? Yeah, my days are right. April 26th, the Knuckles show dropped all on Paramount Plus. They just dropped it all. 6 episode miniseries from the Sonic live action universe, the Sonic cinematic universe, whatever we're going to call it. So, you know, me being a huge Sonic fan, I have to do this. I have to watch the Knuckles show. I really liked the second movie, for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I liked the first one well enough. But what I really enjoyed about the second movie was the more incorporation of the video games. You know, they took more game features and put it in the movie, and it was great to just see, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, all there. Robotnik looking more like Robotnik, you know. So going into this show, I had a mixed idea. I mean, when I first saw the first trailer, I was very excited about the show. But then, as the review embargo lifted, some conflicting reviews about the show are coming out, and some had said that this is not, sadly, the show you expect. It's very different, and yeah, they're right. They are right. So let's go over it. So episode 1, The Warrior. Gonna tell you all right now, this is the best episode, easily. This is the best episode of the show, and it was directed by Jeff Fowler, who he does the actual movies for Sonic. But he came to direct this one episode, and it's very obvious. So the episode starts off pretty good. Knuckles is kind of, we get like a brief recap of who Knuckles is in this universe. It's pretty much just a brief recap of his role in the second movie. And then you see Knuckles doing like a bit of training, and it is very platformer, like a video game, which is good. He sees there's construction workers working on the house, the Wachowski house, because it's still not finished from what happened in Sonic 2. And Knuckles thinks, oh, they're attacking the house, and that's funny, right? Like him thinking that these people are attacking the house is funny. It fits very well with the Knuckles is a fish out of water thing, and he takes things literally. He doesn't understand things. This is funny. Sonic has a talk with Knuckles about, him letting loose and learning to, Green Hill's now his home. So he's got to let loose and just, enjoy being himself. He doesn't have to be a warrior all the time. You can let loose, buddy. This is your home now. We then cut to Knuckles making himself at home in the house by making a gladiatorial fight pit, which was awesome. They have the dog there. The Wachowski's dog is going to be the first combatant. That is awesome against the mailman. That's great. Knuckles is grounded. He doesn't understand what that means. And Sonic tells Knuckles, well, there's many things you can do while you're grounded, buddy. Just because you're grounded and you can't go outside, really. Plenty of things for you to do inside, which is true, but, none of these things appeal to Knuckles. He then is visited by, Pakakamak, the leader of the Echidna tribe. Former leader of the Echidna tribe, I guess, who is a ghost, and he's voiced by Christopher Lloyd, which is awesome. That popped me. I was like, oh my god, is that Christopher Lloyd? And he tells Knuckles that, Knuckles needs to train someone in the Echidna ways. And he pulls up a newspaper of someone who he thinks will be the perfect candidate. And it's Wade. And here we go. So Wade is introduced by he's in a bowling match. He's bowling. And it is a bit, I will give it this, it's not bad, right? It's he's playing bowling and he's getting beaten up by a little girl. You know, that's funny. They introduced that Wade is part of a bowling team with another guy called Jack Sinclair. Jack Sinclair is the best. I loved him. He's like telling Wade, he's like, you know, crush her skull in defeat. And Wade's like, she's like a 10-year-old kid. And he's like, and Jack Sinclair's like, show no mercy. Like, I love that. Jack Sinclair is a bounty hunter, by the way, which that's an interesting choice for a guy to. A bounty hunter is off time. He just likes some bowling, you know? Jack Sinclair's awesome. But Wade sucks and he's kicked off the bowling team. Oh, well, what a shame. Wade then decides that, you know, he's gonna train, he's gonna get fit, and of course, you know, he has like a barbell ready to go, and then he almost chokes himself to death. But Knuckles shows up, saves him, and Knuckles says, you know, you and I will train you to be an echidna warrior, and all that. And Wade's like, well, I do wanna, you know, go to a bowling tournament. And of course he says tournament, and Knuckles like, tournament, champion, combat for champions. I will of course agree. You know, like, that stuff is good. Knuckles not understanding things, it's funny. So Wade and Knuckles have a bit of a chat in the car, and again, it's funny. You see some misunderstandings with Knuckles. It's fun. We are then introduced to two of our antagonists for this show, which is two rogue gun agents. They are called Willoughby, and I think the other guy was Mason. I don't know. I wrote him down as Black Agent because he's black. So that's what I wrote him down in my notes as. I think his name is Mason, though, but I don't know. But anyway, they track Knuckles, which I do appreciate that they went, Knuckles is leaving the Green Hill Zone. That popped me huge. And they are in talk with a buyer who is called The Buyer. Awesome name. The buyer gives them some weapons to, you know, fight Knuckles with, which have Knuckles quills powering them. How did he get Knuckles quills? He says, I scoured the world, you know, to find them. And I'm like, but Knuckles never scoured the world. Okay. Whatever. We have Knuckles and Wade practicing bowling. Knuckles is obviously super strong, so he like destroys pins and all that. And we get Wade explaining why he likes bowling. He said that, you know, he used to go bowling with his dad, and it was like a bonding thing with him and his dad. And his dad left him at a TJ Maxx. Awesome, great. Then the agents attack, and we actually get a good fight scene between them. I did quite enjoy the fight scene. There was a bit of humor here where I'm like, that's a bit corny. I don't think we needed that. And Knuckles is eventually captured by the agents who use like the ring portals on him, and they trap him in a cage, and he's taken, and Wade has to go and rescue him. So that is the first episode of Knuckles done. I should say each of these episodes no longer than like 30 minutes. They're really quick to get through. I binged the whole thing in like, what, 2 hours? Not even. It's really quick to get through. So that was the first episode. Like I said, this was the best episode. I was feeling it. I was really into the show at this point. I'm like, okay, not a bad first episode. I'm into it. You've intrigued me. However, I mean, here's the thing. By the way, he calls what's her name, Mrs. Wachowski. He calls her Pretzel Woman, which I will never not love. Sonic and Tails and Knuckles, all the interactions there is like fantastic, and I would have loved an entire show off that. Because again, that's why we're here. We're here to see the Sonic characters. Let me rephrase that. We're here to see the Sonic characters interact. I'm not saying I need Sonic to be in everything. Oh, by the way, Sonic and Tails never show up again. They're in just a little bit of the first episode, and that's it. They're gone, which is fine. I don't need them to be, especially in a thing called Knuckles. They don't have to be there all the time. I've experienced it by reading Sonic comics. You know, by reading the Knuckles Echidna comics, which, oh my god, if they had taken stuff from that, I would have done a barrel roll. I don't need Sonic and Tails to be in the whole thing, but maybe they should have been. So overall, I thought this was a good first episode. I was into the show at this point. I'm really happy. We get to episode 2, called Don't Say I Wasn't Ever There. Don't ever say I wasn't there for you. So, this is the part where I'm like, oh no, this is where the show's gonna drop. Knuckles is captured. This is now gonna be where it transitions into the criticism I heard, which is this is gonna be the Wade show. Not quite yet. So the agents arrive at a place to meet the buyer to deliver Knuckles. It is the Ice Cap Ski Resort. Once again, pop me mega huge. But Wade follows. We get a daydream of him, imagining what his plans is going to be, like, the ultimate plan to save Knuckles and all that. And it's fine, it's like, okay, Wade's a silly character, so him having a funny daydream about, well, not a funny, but, silly daydream of him making this plan, and he saves Knuckles and everything goes great. That's fine. We get a thing about Willoughby. She's the female British agent. And she says that, it was her job to study people like Knuckles. I wrote in my notes Mobians. That's obviously not what they called them, but I wrote Mobians because, to me, that's what they are. And it was her job to study, Sonic, like alien creatures like that. And she says, like, I know everything about you, Knuckles, but you know nothing about me. It's like, yeah, well, you haven't told us. Duh. Wade's plan to save Knuckles immediately backfires because he sets off fireworks. By the way, Wade did get one of the gloves, the superpowered gloves, because one of the agents dropped it when they left to capture Knuckles. Wade has one of those. And he accidentally, immediately, sets off his fireworks, burns his police car, and the agents are like, what the hell? Wade screws around with the gloves, and he sets like a jetpack off on one of them, and it sends him flying into the ski resort. So then Mason, Black Agent, goes after him. And Wade does the stupidest thing ever and just leaves the glove on the floor as he hides. What are you doing, you moron? You're leaving your only weapon on the floor for the guy to grab. God. But anyway, the Black Agent guy beats the crap out of him, and he goes, he then gets a phone call mid-fight and says, oh, it's my mom, I gotta take this away. It's like, oh yeah, no, I understand. They had that phone conversation is funny. I would laugh at that, like, during a fight, the guy's just like, oh, shoot, dude, it's my mom. Can we just postpone the fight? Oh, yeah, no, I got you. Like, that's funny. He didn't gives his backstory. What's his backstory? He signed up for Gun simply just so he could get paid to fight powerful people. That's it. That's his simple backstory. Okay, fine. Wade escapes him by spraying condiments in his face, like, ketchup, mustard, all that stuff. And then, he punches the guy, he beats him. Okay. He arrives at Knuckles, where Knuckles and Willoughby are, and he frees Knuckles by throwing the glove at the cage. It causes a huge explosion. They are freed. He and Knuckles escape by Knuckles gliding them to safety, which, that was awesome. And then there was a funny joke where, this was a good joke about, how he tells Knuckles, oh my god, you're flying! And Knuckles goes, no, I'm not, I can glide. For short distances. And then Knuckles suddenly stops gliding. Because, in the games, it's funny. They steal a truck. And they stop at a burger joint. Which immediately angered me. Because I'm like, why are you stopping when you're being hunted? You are clearly you are on the run from these people. Why are you immediately stopping to get food? Like, oh my god, no, you should keep driving. Wade orders a bunch of food. They're all fish sandwiches. Why would anyone in God's earth, when you go to a burger joint, order fish sandwiches? That's going to McDonald's and ordering the Filet-O-Fish. What are you doing? No one ever does that. No one goes to McDonald's and goes, man, I feel like the Filet-O-Fish. What? No. Get myself some chicken nuggies. Or a quarter pounder or something. Like, what the hell? But on their drive after eating, they're listening to the radio and they get like a little news thing that says Wade has been branded a fugitive and there's a bounty on his head. I think it's 100K. And Wade says, okay, well, we need a place to lay low. So they go to his mom's house. That's where episode 2 ends. It is, again, not the worst. There was a lot of focus on Wade, but it's not his show. I wouldn't say like, oh, this is the Wade show. It's like, no, not yet. Not yet. So episode 1 is better than this episode, but episode 2 I wasn't entirely against. But then we get to episode 3, the Shabbat dinner. This is, oh god. So Wade and his mom, you know, he's like, mom, it's been forever. And we meet his sister, who's an FBI agent. She's a bitch. They have a Shabbat dinner, which means every Friday, whatever members are there, they have dinner until the candles go out, right? The mom has a weird thing about being Jewish. She's like, always questioning, wait, do you have a girlfriend? Is she Jewish? When she meets Knuckles, she's like, is he Jewish? No. Why does he have to be Jewish? Just because you are, that's fine. Doesn't mean everyone else gotta be. So Wanda acts like a complete jerk to Wade for no reason. Tries to impress her by telling him that, you know, I work with gun, but she doesn't know what gun is. She doesn't know that gun exists. So Wade Wade gets stabbed by Wanda. She stabs the man. And the mom does nothing. Like, they have, like, a petty squabble where they're, like, you know, just, like, verbal spats, and the mom is just like, you know, Wanda, stop picking on your brother. Wade, I know what you're doing. And he's like, I haven't done anything, Mom. It's like, oh, they're acting like kids. Not interested. Then when Wade gets stabbed by a fork, the mom does nothing. Your son was just stabbed. Your daughter's insane. My God. So Wade storms off. He's met with Knuckles. And we find out Wade wants to actually go to this bowling tournament because his dad will be there. You know, that's why he wants to go there. A group of bounty hunters, this is completely means nothing. A group of bounty hunters see that, they see Wade's wanted poster and they attack his house. Where Knuckles saves them with the mom because the mom knows, like, some Jewish fighting thing. She knows some Jewish fighting technique. And they beat up all the bounty hunters, and the family were like, I'm so sorry, I've been a jerk. And Wanda's like, yeah, I guess I shouldn't be a jerk. This episode sucked. It was pointless. This was a waste of time. So much of this episode could have been cut, and we would have missed nothing. There's a Holocaust joke in this episode, which would fly over so many kids' heads. It's like Knuckles is talking to the mom, and he's like, you know, I've had a rough experience with my tribe being killed. And the mom's like, oh, yeah, you know, our tribe had an experience like that, too. I was like, what the what? Oh, my God, what? I was stun-locked. I don't know how else to say it. I got stun-locked. I was like, oh, my God. And then why is Wanda acting like a teenager when she's very clearly in her mid-30s and is an FBI agent? And she's like, dude, you suck. And, like, you know, she's like a dubra type of thing. I'm like, you're an FBI agent in your 30s. She's meant to be comedic relief. She's just freaking annoying. This was episode 1 of The Wade Show. This is where now I'm like, oh yeah, we're entering the Wade Show. Because Knuckles features quite noticeably less in this episode. And then we get episode 4, The Flames of Disaster. Good God almighty help me. Wade is kidnapped by Jack Sinclair for the bounty, obviously. Knuckles doesn't help him. Knuckles is like, you know, Wade must do it on his own to build up his own self-confidence and his own independence. You know, he's not going to help Wade. I wouldn't help Wade either. Screw him. I did notice immediately, Jack is wearing the OVA hat. And I'm like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen in this episode. So Wade is placed in a cage by Jack, and if you touch the bars of the cage, you get unconscious, and Wade doesn't listen, and he keeps getting shocked. Eventually, Jack just decides that he's just going to shock Wade into a consciousness, which, okay, whatever. Wade wakes up in what is the great battleground in the sky, and he meets Pakakamak, who tells him an origin story of Knuckles through a low-budget musical. I will not lie to you and not tell you that I watched this whole musical, because I didn't. I skipped a bunch of it. Because I'm like, this is what the show is? Knuckles?! So Wade wakes up, and then he gets shocked again, and then the origin continues. This is an important bit here about how Knuckles got his powers in the movie universe. There is no, like, oh, you're just projecting things from being a video game fan. No, like, you're headcanoning it. No joke. Knuckles got his powers from fighting Iblis. I lost my mind. I'm like, we just dropping Sonic 06 on us? Iblis? And also, I think I'm mad because I'm like, I want to see this. Show me Knuckles fighting Iblis. Oh my god, I want to see that. But no, I get it in this stupid low-budget origin story. Wade, after experiencing Knuckles' origin, somehow bursts out the top of the cage. He gets superpowers, does a superhero landing, and then that never is brought up again. What the hell? And then he beats Jack in a joust for his freedom. And he takes all of Jack's. He takes Jack's leather jacket. He takes his hat. Takes his bike. And Wade and Knuckles finally head off to Reno for the tournament with Wanda and Wendy. I love Jack. He was great. Jack Sinclair was awesome. I'm sad he never comes back. This episode was once again pointless, meaningless. Could have been done so much better. Where if you wanted Knuckles to build up Wade's independence and confidence, you could have had Knuckles just tell his origin story, and we get told it from like flashbacks. So then I could have seen Knuckles fight Iblis. But they didn't do that. Why? Because this was very clearly the budget episode of the season. They made fun of it by saying, we're going to do it in a low-budget origin. Yet they weren't joking. They had no budget for this episode. This was the Save Money episode. And this was also episode 2 of The Wade Show. Knuckles is freaking never in this. He's in like a good 2 minutes of screen time, one at the beginning and then at the very end. Him on the motorbike, though, driving to Reno is awesome, and I cannot wait to see Shadow on his motorbike in the third movie. But this episode, again, freaking pointless. Pointless, meaningless, nothing. Episode 5, Reno, baby! So they finally are at Reno. Wade sees his dad, who is played by Wesley from Princess Bride, which is awesome. I don't know why his dad is British. I don't know. The buyer has the agents brought to him. Oh yeah, where have they been? They've just been gone for 2 whole episodes. And then they're there. I'm like, oh yeah, you exist. You see how pointless the 2 previous episodes were? So the buyer reveals the story. He worked for Robotnik. He was a henchman for Robotnik, and then he stole Robotnik tech and is now selling it. Whatever. Willoughby's origin story is finally mentioned, where she betrayed Gunn because, she's just against all aliens. She's like, she just bring up good points. She's like, now we let these aliens just live their life like normal, like just living with us, and she's like, I brought this up to Gunn and I was sent to desk duty and I'm sent to do these meaningless tasks, and she's tired of it. And that whole scene with the buyer and them was good. I was like, okay, that it's pretty serious for the most part. It made me like, okay, that's a pretty good scene. I'm into that. And then we get right back to Stupid Town because Wade and Pete will face each other in the finals of the bowling tournament. We get like a montage of the bowling thing. I will say they had a thing where it's like, this is being shown on ESPN, and the host just making fun of bowling was awesome. You have the host being like, and no one cares about this. One of the hosts, I think, said a line where he's like, welcome to Reno. It's so close to hell you can feel the sparks. I was like, that is awesome. The ESPN hosts were genuinely funny, and I was like, okay, that's good. I did wanted to point it out. Why do some teams have like more than one person and then others don't? Like Wade's dad is clearly on his own, and then you got teams of 2, right? Like it doesn't make sense. Pete, which is Wade's dad, he tells Wade he left because, I was searching for something that I thought it could only be found on the lanes, but I messed up leaving you. And he tells Wade, he shows him, I got all the CDs you sent me. I was just too scared to write back. So Wade and his dad, they kind of reconcile and they make up. His mom, though, Wendy, tells Wade, don't get too attached. Your dad, he'll just leave you again. And Wade's like, well, I know, dad hurt you. And you don't want him in your life, but I may want him in mine. He's my dad. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, okay, we're doing a family drama. Where the fuck is Knuckles? So Wade visits Pete's room, and he sees his mom and sister tied up. They are captured by the gun agents. His dad sold them out. Oh my god. Wade is then blackmailed into luring Knuckles up to the penthouse so the agents can ambush him. Where the fuck was Knuckles this episode? He's again in the very beginning and then the very end. And then nowhere to see in between because we have to deal with the fucking Wade family melodrama that has somehow taken over the show, which is supposed to be about an echidna who punches things with his fists. What the fuck am I watching? Final episode, episode 6. What happens in Reno stays in Reno. So Knuckles avoids the trap because Wade tipped him off. Wade gave him the other earbud because, they had Wade put in earbuds. They could hear, so they could communicate with him and hear everything he was saying. But Wade secretly gave Knuckles the other one, so Knuckles heard everything. So the fight is good. I was very interested in the fight between Knuckles, the agents, and Wade sneaks in to save his family. It's good. I enjoyed it. Knuckles defeats the agents by trapping them in the ring portals. They are dead, by the way. They are dead. They are dead. There is no coming back from it. The agents are dead. And I was like, okay, that's really good. And then immediately we lose all of that goodness by a super long scene of Wade beating his dad in the tournament finals, which I don't care. The buyer shows up to fight Knuckles, and I'm like, oh, baby. And we don't get to see the fight because they instead want us to see Wade fight his dad in a bowling tournament. It beats his dad, and Knuckles is thrown in through the wall. The buyer is beating him up. The buyer pretty much beats the crap out of Knuckles in a cool robot suit. Wade buys Knuckles time to recuperate by throwing bowling balls at the buyer with the gloves, so they're like, superpower balls. Knuckles wakes up, saves Wade, he beats the buyer, he gets the flames of disaster where he gets his fists, are on fire like Sonic Heroes. And he beats up the buyer. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. The buyer is dead. Knuckles kills the buyer. And Pete tries to steal the trophy, but is stopped by Wade's mom and sister. And then Wade and Knuckles do the high five, freeze midair, and we're done. That's the show. I want to see Knuckles fighting a guy in a mech suit. I don't want to see a bowling tournament between a dad and son for a family melodrama that should not be in a show about Knuckles. It was a waste of time. A huge waste of time. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you most of this episode is part of the freaking bowling tournament, because it is a huge chunk of this episode. The whole middle is the bowling tournament. I'm not being hyperbolic or embellishing. It's a huge bit of this episode. So that's the Knuckles show, or should I say Wade, the Wade show, and Knuckles. He's there too. This was a disappointment, a huge disappointment. This is what we feared, right? It's what we feared with the Sonic movie. That they are just gonna push the human characters and the Sonic characters take us backseat. That's exactly what this is. Now, I'm one of the people who defends the human characters in the Sonic movies because I actually don't mind them. I think they're pretty good when done, especially in the movies. This is awful. This is what the complaints I have heard people say, and I'm like, no, the movies aren't like that. This is that. Knuckles takes a backseat, and they focus on the human characters, which I don't care about. I don't care about Wade. I never liked Wade. I think I hate him more now because of what you've done by making him the main character. He's a side, goofy, comic relief character who I didn't even laugh at in the movies. Now you're giving him a show, essentially. But you're clickbaiting me to watch it by putting Knuckles there. I would have much preferred if the Knuckles show was an episodic thing of him in Green Hill, or, you know, he does leave Green Hill every now and then to find himself and experience Earth. You know, like episodic Knuckles does a new wacky adventure, and it's like, oh, he's a fish out of water, and every episode he gets more and more into like, oh, he's understanding Earth, he understands the customs, he understands things more and more as we go along. Just an episodic 6 episodes of that would have been great. Sonic and Tails show up every now and then. You know, like, if you want Wade to be in an episode or two, whatever, fine. You know, like, this bowling tournament arc could have been a 2-part episode, you know, right, of the show. But no, we get this. This is absolutely pointless. This didn't need to be a show. I saw a great idea where someone's like, this could have just been a movie. Or like, if you don't want to make it a movie, just a Paramount Plus direct-to-streaming special. Knuckles, right? Where literally, I kid you not, with this show, in quotes, you can skip episode 3 and 4 and miss freaking nothing. You can watch episode 1, episode 2, 5, and 6 and miss nothing. In fact, you can skip most of episode 5 anyway. Just cut that out. Like, all you need to know about episode 5 is to get to Reno. Wade really wants to be with his dad. His dad sells him out to the agents, and he has to lure Knuckles to a trap. That's it. That's your plot summary for episode 5. And then episode 6, you just literally show the first fight scene, and then the final end scene. Like, this could have easily been a special, right? Like a movie or a special, and it's like the dinner, that would have been a 10-minute scene at most in a movie. Not even 10 minutes. 5, maybe. Right? But they gave it a whole episode. A whole, 30 minutes. To stuff I don't care. I want to see Knuckles. Yeah, so this is not good. This is really not good. You can skip this whole show for the 3rd movie and not miss a damn thing. This show is not needed for the movie, one bit. I was gonna watch the show regardless because I'm a Sonic fan. Yeah, this is off. This show is not needed for the 3rd movie. And here's the thing: I'm not against shows that are bottle shows for spin-offs for franchises where it's you don't have to watch. It's there's a movie franchise and they make a show, but you don't have to watch the show for the next movie. But if you watch the show, you get maybe a bit of extra info. It maybe kind of fleshes out the world a bit more. So then when you watch the 3rd movie, it's you didn't need to watch the show, but it makes you appreciate the world a bit more. You feel a bit more immersed in it. I have a bit of more knowledge of this thing, right? You don't have to watch the show, but it makes you like the world a bit more. You feel like you're more engrossed in the world, just a tiny bit, right? It's a little helpful thing there, right? But it's not needed. This is not that. This could have been that, but this is not that. This is pointless and not needed. So I'm gonna give the Knuckles show a 5.5 out of 10 because the first 2 episodes I think are actually fine and decent, especially the first episode. The first episode's the best. The second episode's okay. 3rd episode is when it just nosedives off a cliff. And then there's bits and pieces from episode 5 and 6. That's okay, you can take the bits and pieces from episode 5 and 6, and that's one episode. That's literally just an episode. So this, if you wanted to make this a show, could have been 3-4 episode show. A really quick miniseries. But they extend it, they pad it with nonsense. Knuckles takes a backseat in the show, and it's the Wade show, which no one cared about. So yeah, this is a huge disappointment. 5.5 out of 10 is what I would give this show. You can give it a miss. You aren't going to need it. And I pray now that the Sonic 3 movie is in good hands. It still sounds like the movie's going to be in good hands. You know, they said they're taking a lot from Sonic Adventure 2. A lot of the stuff that's come out about the movie seems like they are on the right track for the movie. Like, they just dropped the ball with this show so much. So that's it. That's my review of Knuckles, the TV show, or should I say Wade featuring Knuckles, the TV show. It's on Paramount Plus, so you can watch it now, but I don't recommend you do. So that's going to do it, everyone. Thank you all for listening and watching this video, and I will see you all next time.